Allô les Mac. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis. And today's topic of discussion is education. On the conversation on education, I want to talk about measuring and evaluating the quality of your own personal opinions. And I think this is a very important conversation because not very many of us take time to challenge our opinions and our beliefs. And it's often the experiences that we have that create dissonance and give us an opportunity to think about what it is that we think about the things that take place in the world around us, other people, and how we feel and how we position ourselves towards or against them in affinity or in contrast to those things. And so right now we're in a sea of opinions, and and I am of the opinion personally that not all opinions are created equal. And what I leverage by way of evaluating and valuing someone else's opinions is based on what is informing those opinions. And I come from a place of experience because I recognize that up until my adolescent years, all of my opinions were informed by the communities and the people who raised me. So my opinions were very much a regurgitation of what other people told me to believe, what other people told me to think, and how other people told me to orient and react to specific situations. And frankly, I was raised in enough of a homogeneous environment. When you live in a small town, there is not a lot of tolerance for deviation, right? So there was enough people who felt and believed the same way that not often were you met with needing to challenge your beliefs and challenge your opinions about the ways of the world and how the world was supposed to work. And frankly, my world very rarely got disrupted. I did not experience disruptions in my beliefs and in my opinions. I mean, there were moments where I had questions where I wanted to understand things more deeply, but large in part, I was of the opinion of my parents. Whatever opinions they articulated to me, I absorbed those. Those were my opinions as well. It wasn't until I had personal relationships challenge those beliefs and also challenged me to think about why I believed the things that I believed in so strongly that I would react in the ways that I reacted. When honestly, when I thought about what was informing those beliefs, I was operating from a place of ignorance. And if you don't know what's informing your belief, if your belief is just a regurgitation of the opinion of other people around you, then you actually are being driven to behave in specific ways only because you were told, and that is not an informed opinion. That is not an opinion that I value. And so in this position, I'm going to talk about a personal experience. I've had very few friendships that I carried into adulthood. And I remember in a small town, everyone more or less believes, thinks, behaves the same ways. And one of my childhood friends growing up, her and I were like peas in a pod. And we went to different elementary schools because I had gone to a French immersion elementary school and she was in an English work stream, but we lived 3 houses away. And so her and I were similar in that we both loved animals, and she had a hedgehog, I had a bird. We both were quirky in the ways that we, I guess, navigated in the world around us, and that quirkiness made us very close friends. And so I grew up with her, and it's interesting because she was always in an English work stream, so because of that she was in a school local, and I was in a school, remember, a ton apart, because when you're in French immersion you have a completely different district, and so we were in different education roadmaps. But when we came home, her and I were friends, we were close, and oftentimes I would invite her over to eat. She loved eating at my parents' house. I would invite her to church. I grew up in a very religious, very Orthodox household, and so her and I were friends since I moved to that neighborhood. I moved to Curtis. I don't remember how old I was when I first moved to Curtis, but I lived in Curtis for I think about 2 years. I moved to Curtis for grade 7, and that was the year I was put in that French immersion school, and that was the year after I was homeschooled actually. And so her and I met, we became very close friends. We were never in school together formally. We were only friends from when we came home and when we would hang out after school or on weekends, and we were so close. And I remember it was maybe 5 years into our friendship, maybe my 3rd year of high school, where she came to me and she was very afraid, and she told me that she was bisexual. And so now we have conversations about sexuality that are very open, there's not a lot of fear of judgment, we don't fear necessarily reprisal. But at that point in time, especially in the communities that we were raised in and the way that I was brought up, I was not brought up to be entirely open and tolerant to different sexual orientations. I wasn't even tolerant to my own sexuality. So how did I know how to respond and be tolerant and carry someone else's sexuality? And I remember her coming to me and letting me know that she had questions about her sexuality. And for me, it was always a very black and white answer. There was one sexuality that was okay, all the other sexualities weren't okay. And so her coming to me from a place of fear, she didn't want want to talk to her parents about it. She didn't know who to turn to about it. So she turned to me, and like, I was not prepared to carry the weight of that disclosure. I really didn't know how to handle it, but it created so much inner conflict in me, because here is a friend that I've known my whole adolescent life. Pretty much she and I went through puberty together. We had known each other for 5 years. We went from playing with dolls and our pets to talking about boys and experimenting with makeup. And now here she's telling me that she is fairly fluid in her sexuality, and she liked women as much as she liked men, and she wanted me to tell her that that was okay. And I remember in that moment regurgitating the opinions that were told to me. Rather than support this friend who had been my friend for so long, I was regurgitating the opinions that I was told about like how I was supposed to feel about sexuality. And I remember like I disappointed her so much. I was not a great friend in that moment. Like, I was not super tolerant in that moment, but because of who she is, like, she challenged me, and she was challenging me to be a good friend to her. And she told me that what she needed of me and how she needed me to respond in that situation. And I was just completely overwhelmed. Like, I didn't know how to deal with these conflicting emotions and feelings. And I felt scared myself. I felt scared in like, am I allowed to even be acceptant of her? Am I allowed to be tolerant of her? Like, what am I allowed to do in this situation? And because of that inner conflict, that inner dissonance, we ended up not talking. We stopped talking after that conversation, and she told me how angry she was with me, how disappointed she was in me. And it was one of the first opportunities in my young life at that point. I was maybe at the most 15, where I started to think about like, are my opinions valid? Are these opinions valid if it is now creating conflict in a friendship that otherwise had no flaw? Like, there was no reason for this friendship to end. Like, we were so close. And I remember like just not knowing what to do with those big emotions, with those conflicting feelings. And I remember it took me having to take a moment to myself to introspect about like, why did I feel like I needed to react so strongly, and how comfortable did I feel with reacting from a place of intolerance, especially what was really creating issues and dissonance with my own personal reaction of not being able to support her and not being able to accept her, was because I had been bullied in grade 7. So because I was a homeschooled kid going into school permanently full-time, like, it was a very rough and difficult transition. I was bullied by boys mostly, and it was often my friend who lived 3 houses down who would ward off the boys who after school would hop on their bikes and bully me at my own front doorstep, right? So thinking to myself, well, wait, I know what persecution feels like. I know what it feels like to not be accepted, or to be persecuted, or to have people hate you for reasons that you don't understand. Like, do I want to be this person? And it was in that answer, like, me telling myself, you know what, like, I understand that these are the opinions that I'm supposed to believe, but unfortunately, like, I don't feel comfortable carrying these beliefs if it means that I cannot be a place of safety for the friendships that I've had for this period of time. And I'm so happy that she's a very strong personality. And if you know me, I'm a strong personality as well. And so whenever we butt heads, like, she would be very much my accountability partner when it was the case that I was dealing with these religious dogmas that were keeping me from seeing her growth and evolution. And I'm just so thankful for the relationships that I've had that broke me free from certain ideologies and beliefs that just weren't actually in alignment with who I am at my core. And I think who we are at our core, I think the values that we carry at our core are often so strong and so deeply rooted that they circumvent or they push against the values that we were brought up in. And I don't know how many people have had this experience, but I had it like almost all of my adolescent into my adult life. And it challenged me to really break free from dogmas. It's also the reason why I no longer consider myself to be a religious human being, because I could not carry some of these religious dogmatic beliefs and ideologies while also feeling like I was in harmony with myself and being the friend that I needed to be to the people who were true friends to me. And I remember that despite this dissonance, despite me coming to the realization that, you know what, like, this is not the person that I want to be. I don't want to be the kind of person where when I have a friend come to me with this kind of disclosure, where she's already feeling so uncertain and unsure and needs someone to validate and to support her, and I don't know if I can do that because of a belief that someone told me to believe. Like, I don't ever want to be in that position again. Like, and the next time I'm given the opportunity to carry someone's fear of their own identity as they're coming to terms with their identity, like, I want to do better. And it was in that place of like deciding like that opinion was an opinion that was shallow. Like, I was ignorantly supporting that opinion, and then finding myself to a place where, well, no, like, my actual opinion is like, love is love. Like, that's my opinion. And if I have a friend who needs me to support them with love and respond with acceptance, then I'm not going to allow any dogmatic belief interfere with my ability to do that. And so what ended up being the bridge that brought our friendship back together was she ended up getting pregnant out of high school. I think it was just out of the end of high school. And in getting pregnant, because we were on a honestly like just so close growing up, she called and she reached out to me and she was like, well, I needed to be here for this moment. Like I needed to be here for me in this moment. I rose to the occasion. I was there for her, and I made a point to apologize to her for my intolerant reaction. And she recognized that like how I grew up, like she was part of it. She understood how sheltered and the kind of climate that I grew up in. And so it was her, it was my relationship, my personal relationship with her that broke me out of a system of beliefs that would have kept me in an environment that didn't align to me. And so in this conversation, that one moment, and it was a very big moment in my life, it was a big, I think, awakening, because it caused me to then do the work of auditing all of my beliefs, all of my opinions, and deciding like, does this opinion actually live within me? Like, is this an opinion that I want to carry into adulthood? Is this how I actually feel about people who are oriented this way, or about situations in that sense, or about politics around me? Like, what is my view? And it took a lot of deep diving, a lot of introspection and reflection for me to now be confident in my convictions and in my positions. I don't carry beliefs and opinions into rooms that I haven't fully fleshed out and thought about. And I used to do that, and a lot of people I recognize still do that. We're just regurgitating the opinions and the beliefs of the people that we were surrounded by. Like, we don't actually know why we think and believe the things that we do. And I think that this is a conversation around challenging that, Nora. Do not give yourself the permission to vocalize an opinion that you don't know for sure that you believe in. And the only way that you can know for sure is if you think about it and really give yourself time to think about how it sits within you. And often it is the friendships, it is the personal relationships that we have, when those relationships deepen and self-disclosure happens, that challenges some of the beliefs that we carry, because now we need to build a bridge between like the relationship we have with a specific person who represents something that often is in contradiction to some of the beliefs that we carry. So that's the food for thought that I want to leave you with, something to ponder and think about. And next time that you want to share an opinion, ask yourself, is this an informed opinion? How am I able to defend this opinion if it comes under fire and under question? And if after I've done the work to make sure that my opinion is educated, that it's informed, that you can support it if it is the case that it does come under fire, then by all means communicate it. But I think that it's really important that we all hold ourselves accountable and take on the responsibility of making sure that we're not just articulating and regurgitating opinions that people have given to us, but that we're only speaking to and very confidently of the opinions that we ourselves have done the work, that introspection to cultivate at our own time, at our own pace, never communicating or giving ourselves license to communicate from a place of ignorance. So that's the conversation that I wanted to have today. Some food for thought for you. If I have piqued your interest, then we'd be remiss if I didn't let you know that we do host live events every month, twice a month for the foreseeable future on our website. So definitely be sure to check that out. Now, these events are paid events, so if you do see yourself participating in our community on an ongoing basis, then I do suggest that you take a look at one of our package plans. Yes, so we do offer package plans over and above our live events, as well as access to workshops and opportunities to really connect and to deep dive as it relates to self-mastery and other people who are on that journey. And we also do provide parent-child workshops so that we can focus on cultivating great perseverance and resilience. And so we think that that falls under a foundation of 4 building blocks: cultivating self-mastery, self-efficacy, compassion, and autonomy in children. So those are the topics for today. So that's something for you to check out. It is on our website. You can check out the descriptions. We do believe that we have something that is best fit for everyone in your family, including yourself. And if you're still here, leave us a follow. Definitely join our Game Changer community, giving us an opportunity to play a small role in your journey. So that's it for today. We're on the road to 1K, and give us the support as we build and concentrate on that self-mastery as a global community. Thank you so much again, and we'll talk to you all very soon.